Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Blooming Daily. I am so excited to be back in the studio and to have you tuning in because it is always such a delight to be speaking about health and wellness with you. How are you doing? I really want to know, so please let us know in the comments section, reply on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Because we really want to know how you're doing. How has this week been for you? How has this month been for you? How has this year been for you? Because we know that things aren't smooth. It will be very untrue if we act like things are. And we really want to know how you're doing. So please, even before going ahead to listen to the podcast, let us know how you're doing, how we can support you, what resources you need. Anything at all that we can do, we would try our very best to do it. And with that being said, we're going to slide right in to today's episode. And joining me in the studio today is Neiman.
That was a crazy wind up. I'm just happy to be here.
Hi, Neiman.
Hi, Ruth.
How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
I love that choice of word. Excellent. Tell us, why are you doing excellent? What happened is making you
I'm doing excellent today because it's a Friday. The work is done. The pain is over. And the weekend is here.
Let's go. I love to hear it.
Excellent day.
How did your week go? I feel you.
There's a reason I'm so excited it's over. No, it was always, whenever I say a whirlwind, I think of a drying machine for whatever reason. So it felt like a drying machine. Hopefully I just still have my color when I'm all the way out, which I always will.
Snap.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I made it through. It was hot, crowded, and, all the things you'd expect in the week of a Bowdoin student. Very rewarding, very insightful. And yeah, on to the next.
Let's go. I love it. I love the motivation oozing from that onto the next, I really love that. That's great. So today we're going to be speaking about physical fitness. This is something that's really important and something that we said, we have to talk about. And I was like, I can't think of a more perfect person to talk about this than Neiman, who is about to teach me how to do a backflip.
Girl,
guys, that's on my. I've been telling Neiman that I want to learn how to do a backflip, and he's the one who is going to teach me. When I achieve that, I'm going to come give a progress report on the podcast. Just hold on, it's coming.
You heard it here first.
Yes, you heard it here first. So today we're going to be talking about from burnout to balance, strategies for sustainable fitness. And this is the first part of 2 parts. We didn't want to make it one long episode just so that you can listen to one part, digest that, and then come back and listen to the second part. So this is going to be the first of 2 parts. And we are very excited for it. So we're going to be speaking about in both episodes, we're going to be speaking about physical fitness, scheduling, motivation, starting small, all of those good stuff. And the challenges as well, because those are also part of the whole journey. So we're going to be speaking about that. Before we delve in, I just want to speak a little bit about your background in Neiman. Do you have, I know you have a background in athletics, but our listeners don't know that. So can you give us a little bit of your background?
I will try to give the most concise and thorough overview of my athletic experience. So from an early age, I was active in, I'd say, a myriad of sports. Like I was involved in soccer, flag football. At one point I wanted to do ballet, so I was always physically active and always just running outside. I have an older brother, so my mom always took us to playgrounds. I was homeschooled also, so very, very, very active childhood outside of organized athletics. My first really intentional athletic decision was to commit to doing gymnastics, which I started. I honestly cannot remember, but between the ages of 8 and 9, I
Yes.
started doing gymnastics. And I did that pretty recreationally for a few months. And after some of my coaches had recognized the way I'd been progressing through those recreational levels, they recommended that I try out for the like actual competitive team starting at level 4. So I started doing level 4. Girl, I want to say around 2011, 2012.
Wow.
And then
Just before you go on, sorry, can you explain what level 4 is?
Yeah, no. That's just basically the first. That's where the youngest people go, and then usually seniors in high school end up being at level 10. After level 10, you can choose to go elite, and then that's when you see people in the Olympics. But,
Okay.
So I was a level 4 gymnast, and that was the first real time commitment I also had, because that meant I was at the gym 4 hours a day, 5 days a week.
What?
For the entire year. Like, no days off.
As a
ever.
child?
As a child. And that was very, 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 very normal. Like, since I was homeschooled, that was really all that I saw, people that were willing to make those same time commitments.
Oh my goodness.
It seemed pretty regular, and I actually progressed through level 10. I ended up, at the peak. I don't want to say at the peak of my career, but there were times where I was training like 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, 2 times a day. So sometimes it could boil over into like 7, 8 hours a day.
Oh my God.
But it was very, very, very intense. I was on my way to being recruited D1 to do gymnastics, but I did have 2 shoulder injuries that kind of took me out of that running, I guess, in my junior year of high school. So I made a really quick transition and started diving in January. Girl, I'm just going to say January 21. I started diving in January 21. Diving was a pretty natural transition from gymnastics for me, just because it was the same front flips and back flips. And you know about those back flips, girl.
Yes.
So I basically worked really hard at that. That was also a big time commitment because that was during COVID. So I was actually driving my mom. Thank God for her. Was driving 2+ hours every single day after.
Wow.
And I went to a traditional school at this point. So this was after school. We'd get back home at midnight. And I basically did that from January through, girl, let's just say September around August. From there, I'd done pretty well in my high school, like diving. I was like district, and I'll say district runner-up,
Wow.
regional runner-up. And I got 6th at states that year, which I was like, okay. I wasn't that happy because I'd previously won states many times in gymnastics. But whatever. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And I reached out to like literally every school under the sun, sending my athletic, accomplishments, my academic profile. And I literally threw whatever stuck on the wall. And this small school in Brunswick, for whatever reason, stuck on the wall. I was recruited, and the rest is history.
Wow. And now Neiman's here.
I am. And I guess to contextualize this a little bit in the present, I will say, while I was recruited to dive here at Bowdoin, I did stop in December of last year. We can probably go into that later, but it was a big time commitment, XYZ. But I am no longer diving. So
But still very much an athlete.
I would consider myself an athlete.
Let's go. Let's go. Snap, snap, snap. Wow. You have a history.
I do.
I'm actually blown away. I'm like,
I honestly don't even know like what I just said. I think it was pretty linear. I would hope.
Because I think I only read about these like people in
Yeah,
books. So
no,
it's actually
crazy.
so interesting to
I'm one of them.
yeah, to see that you're one of them.
Yeah,
I read about people who like trained several hours growing up and did all of that, and so like getting to know that you did that is just mind blowing. And so I want to know a bit of how that was for you as a child. Did you consider stopping? Because like how were you able to sustain that from your early childhood up to now? What kept you going?
Well, abusive coaches.
Oh no, we do not condone
Girl,
abusive
it's not your
coaches.
fault. No, but if you guys want to see a common theme among certain high-performing young athletes in some areas.
Oh, no.
No, it was, I'm not going to say it was fine. As I progressed from levels 4 through 10, there were many, many, many coaching changes. Like when I first came to the gym that I went to was called Orlando Metro. So when I first started going to Metro, it was literally training with like Olympians, like top 10 guys. Like
Wow.
it was really just a factory for the best. So that was really incredible. But there were many, many coaching changes and people left and all this stuff happened. And the coach who I was coached with in my earlier years, I believe is now behind bars.
What?
For physical assault. And that is not an isolated occurrence, especially in the gymnastics community.
I've been hearing, actually.
Yeah. I'd look up Athlete A on Netflix, just watch that documentary. That's the tip of the iceberg. Whew!
I've been hearing, like, after the Olympics and all, like, hearing this and that.
No, and it's also, like, it was just not a very, I'll say it was not a healthy environment to be in, but it also, like, very much so, like, made me the person I am today. Like, the things I sustained, the things I saw, the things I endured, still I consider to be some of the, like, hardest challenges that I've ever overcome. So at least I can look back on that and see that I made it through that.
Yeah. So if you had all of this, what was the biggest thing that kept you going, you know?
Honestly, I just like to win, you know, and I was winning.
Okay,
So,
snap.
yeah, it's just good, you know, like, why would I not? Like, you walk in and people, you know, all eyes on you. You go through, scoreboard, all eyes on you. And at the podium, girl, all eyes on me. Like, I was there, my banners were up, like,
Wow.
while I was there, at least in gymnastics, I'll just say pressure is a privilege, and I felt a lot of pressure. But
wait, that's such an interesting phrasing.
I think that's from, I forgot her name, the female tennis player, Billie Jean. I don't know if it's Billie Jean King. But,
Wow.
Yeah.
Pressure is a privilege.
It is a privilege because, you know, you're feeling that. It means, I'm not going to try to explain it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's definitely something I'm going to think about.
Not everyone has that pressure on them. So it's like, oh, okay.
That's very, very, very interesting. Thank you for mentioning that. I think I'm going to think about that a lot. Yeah. Because, yeah, it's actually so true.
I mean, you admire people that have so much pressure put under them, I would think, right? Like, because that define, you know.
And then, you know, there's a thing about healthy pressure, but unhealthy pressure, and all of we could go into all of that, but
this is true.
That's not the conversation, but that's really, thank you for mentioning that. I really, really.
I'll also plug the GOAT, Serena Williams, who gave me that quote. Queen. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we love Serena. That's amazing. Wow. God. So how did you said you loved all the, you know, the attention that came with it and all of that, but I know that there were times where you struggled so hard with maybe waking up to go to the gym, and those times were you also still thinking about the attention that came up? What are the things that got you going those times?
I'll just say, like, I enjoyed the adoration that I received, but I also recognized my talents and, like, showing those. So it wasn't really always all about that prize. For those days that I was not going to go to the gym, my parents were like, you're going to the gym. Like, there wasn't really an option. And I had a hard time coming to terms with that as a child, just because I was like, why? But, like, they were also spending, like, thousands of dollars. So they did need, you know, like, get your ass in the car, you know? And I get it, you know? So that was kind of it. I will say, for when I did end up leaving gymnastics, that was, well, I'm not going to say that. It was a totally different conversation just because it was different circumstances. Before, I'd wanted to leave gymnastics when I was younger for whatever. Like, I wanted to go to a school. I wanted to just, you know, not have to do this every day.
Yes.
All these things.
It's totally valid.
Yeah. But they were usually like, well, the pros and cons were much, much different until, you know, I had my, injuries slash COVID slash junior year. So get your ass to college. You know, it's one of those. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What a history.
Yeah.
I really wanted us to start with that because beyond everything, I wanted to hear about your personal experience with athleticism and working out and all of that. And now I would love us to dive into the importance. That was not pun intended. But okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Into the importance of physical fitness. And there are so many benefits.
This is true.
There are so many benefits. And I have, a list of them. But before I even start speaking about the things on my list, I want to hear, like, when you think of the importance of physical fitness in your life, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Honestly, I either think of just like some man like lifting in the gym or like lecture slides on like the benefits of mental health and exercise. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm sure both of those people are living their lives and that's why they work out, but like I just don't think I've ever directly worked out for that reason. That's why I also think that my relationship with physical fitness is very different because, like, with a gymnastics background, like, the conditioning that I did was, like, very, very, very different than just, like, traditional strength training where you just go into the intention of doing strength exercises. Like, and so many things in gymnastics, like, the strength is, like, the byproduct of everything else. Like in the routine, you just have to be strong to do the skill, you know? And like we did spend maybe 30, 45 minutes a day directly working on strength, but that's very different than people who, lift for 2 hours a day or do something more like that. So when I think of physical fitness, I guess I'm just a little confused just because I only say that because I haven't practiced that in the way that I see other people have. So it's just like,
And so for your view of like physical fitness, you know, how would you say, what would you say has been like the biggest like impact on your body or your mind, or what's the first like benefits that comes to your mind with your own view of like
the
physical
mirror? No, girl, because I love to see the product. Once again, like, I can remember, I'm just going to be real here, girl. Let's just take summer, right? Like, this is kind of, okay, brief side note. I wasn't here my freshman spring. I had a family emergency. So during that spring, I was thinking about summer being like, girl, like the body's going to be good. The bank account's going to be good. The IG's going to be good. And it like, I feel like that was my motivation. So I can remember that being the one time, like, girl, I mean, I would wake up in my garage. I'd wake up every day and just like do my, 100 push-ups, 100 V-ups, 100 sit-ups. Run. And it was like 30, 45 minutes. Like I got my speaker. And that was like physical fitness just because it aligned with a mental image of myself that I wanted to look like when I was on my cruise. And I did. Just letting you guys know the pics were there.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious.
So, yeah.
That's
I don't know if that's cynical.
That's that's very interesting. Yes. Thank you for being real because I think that's the reality.
Yeah. Why would I not want to look good? I mean, if that's, again, that's like me. Like, I'm at a point now where I'm not doing any like structured organized like physical fitness. Like, I'm not going to, what's that gym? Like Buck? I'm not going. Like, I'm not. That thing doesn't have. If they don't have rings or P-bars there for me to do my dips or whatever, it's just not going to work. And that's fine, you know?
Yes.
So I consider my physical fitness literally walking my ass from Reed to Hatch every morning. Like, if I can do that.
Walking from your house to the library.
These packages from Smith to, like, if I can walk through this cold and through this snow, I think I'm physically fit.
Oh my goodness, Neiman, that's hilarious. And so I think you mentioned, you know, the benefits of like seeing the product outside your body.
Yes.
But what do you think the benefits in your body have
I would
been?
say routine. Just getting in the habit of doing so. Oh, girl, even when I was working out in that garage, there were like no options that I would not do, like those push-ups. You know, like sometimes, like you can do whatever, like you can ground, but like every day that was just like something that was just like, okay, like this is something that you do. And I'm also I got weirdly into like neuroplasticity.
Oh.
And the thought of just like you just have to keep doing it because that's literally like a neural pathway that will just like continue to grow.
Yes.
So even if it looks weird or feels bad the first time and the next week, like you will eventually get there. So that's just good to remember.
Yes.
But
That's very, very true. And I think I like that part of routines because it's very true. Once you get into the routine,
like, it's just there.
Yes. And then it helps you. It helps your mind.
Yeah.
Because our bodies love routines.
They do.
Our bodies love to know that we're doing this thing at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's going to make us feel better and all of that. So it's amazing. Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think, you mentioned the benefits from outwardly, but I would really, really love us to speak about the benefits inwardly, and I have a list and we can go through this list together. The first one on my list is that physical fitness really helps boost your mood. It's such like physical fitness exercises or such mood boosting things, the way the chemicals they release in your brain. I want to know if you have experience with that.
No, I mean, I agree that the actions themselves have those products, but I've also had the experience with my background, going to a traditional gym just produces like an increased state of like anxiety.
That's true.
So it's like, well,
I think that's actually true. That's why you have to consider like where you also do your physical fitness.
Am I comfortable?
Because the action in itself, because of the chemicals it produces in your brain, the dopamine that comes as a result help to elevate your mood. But what you brought up now is a very valid concern. When you're doing that physical fitness in a place where you don't feel comfortable,
it's not.
Then it's like just counteracting.
I feel worse.
Right? It's just counteracting that. And so the fundamental thing.
And I think the only thing scarier than being uncomfortable in that situation is like then like still going. You know? Like I feel like we could all I've talked to many people about how like uncomfortable, I'm just gonna use Beck again, like how uncomfortable it can be. And people are like, oh yeah, no, it's horrible. But then I'm like, well, girl, I mean, if you're going because you have whatever athletic responsibility, fine, but like I'm not going to a space where I feel uncomfortable or where I don't feel as productive as I'd like to be. Like
That's very valid. And I think I'm glad you raised that because we don't want things that will counteract.
And I feel like we're totally ignoring, like, can we talk about the vibe that are in gym? Like, let's
gyms
talk.
Can
it's
be
not good.
Yes,
it's bad. It is bad. It is just these men who are so loud and so overbearing and so much. And I feel like everyone knows it, but because of whatever power structure we've established, we just don't say anything and just put in our AirPods. Girl. No.
That's very, very valid. Because again, it brings it back to the part we want the benefits that come with the elevated mood and but then if you're in a place where you don't even feel comfortable to start with,
and
then you don't even get
that. I guarantee there are stories of people like being made uncomfortable in these spaces.
And so what you said links to what I wanted to say later on, but I think I can, since we're speaking about this now, that's why it's important to exercise or work out in spaces that feel welcoming to you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you might not find that in a traditional gym. You might have to do it
Do it in your room. Do it in your living room. Girl, I worked out on my porch, and it was wonderful. Like, all you have to do, girl, get a yoga mat. It was so good. I got a speaker.
Right. And those things, you can even get things that are inexpensive. You don't need
it's so accessible. I feel like we already have it. Like, I am much more likely to make the long walk over to Farley just to have like an open space on the track to work out in peace rather than trying to like fight for space or just be I'm not gonna get into it.
No, that's very fair. And for our non-Bowdoin listeners, for some context, Buck is the major gym on Bowdoin's campus, but then Farley is a track.
It's just like a field, open,
just
but
very open place.
I will say that the vibe of Buck is definitely not isolated. So just apply it to any local gym that you know.
Yes, and so this is not just about that gym. It's just about like gyms.
Dread it. I mean,
in
the
general.
only redeeming quality is the rock wall, which I'll have to use soon. Even that has a sign up, so it's like, okay.
Yes, but yeah, that's very valid. I'm glad you brought up this atmosphere issue because it's something we will speak about. But yes, but then again, exercises do help improve your mood, and they make you like when done in the right place, and in a place where you actually do feel comfortable.
You enjoy the exercise.
Yes,
too.
It can leave you feeling happier, more relaxed, less anxious, and ready to go about your day.
I agree.
You're just really ready. And connected to that is that exercise boosts energy. Again, when done in a space that feels very welcoming to your space where you don't feel like you have to perform.
Yeah.
Where you feel like you have to do more than you can do just so that you don't feel out of
even
place.
girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you might feel like, oh, I can only lift.
I'm only doing this many
plates.
But
like, I need to do more because I'm in the gym, you know. So when done well and when not done to perform, it can also boost your energy, because when you're exercising, your body is sending oxygen and nutrients to your tissues, and then this helps your body, your cardiovascular system work more efficiently, and then your heart and lungs and all of that. So exercise also helps elevate your energy levels, and we're going to go more into the organs in a little bit, but I wanted to start off with these two things, boosting your mood and boosting your energy. But now to the organs. When I was researching, I thought this was really interesting because I know this, but again, exercise does really help with cardiovascular health. Yeah. Like, I don't know what your experience is with cardiovascular.
Well, girl, the first thing I think of is one time in gym we would just, I forgot what exercise it was, but like I do remember like my heart beating so fast. I think we had to do. I'm not even going to try to guess the exercise. We were doing something for hours, and everyone was crying, sobbing.
What?
But, like, I remember, like, everyone's heart just, like, racing, you know? So I guess I felt cardiovascular, effects to an extreme. But, like, I don't know. I just think about, like, moving my body. And I just feel like you just get it going, get the fluids going, and any movement is good movement.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes, that's very true. Because just even walking from one place to another, you're getting your heart
I think we were holding handstands, actually. Thinking back on it. It was like 2 minutes apiece. A lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So just walking from place to place, jogging.
Yeah.
Just doing sit-ups, that improves your cardiovascular health a lot.
Absolutely. And I guess my thing is, like, you just kind of have to find that purpose and motivation for yourself. Like, as good as this is, Ruth, and I totally, totally agree that, like, there are so many physical benefits to exercise. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised to hear that there are physical benefits to exercise. I think everyone knows that, for the most part. Like, so you've been told it's work out and eat your vegetables. Like, those are two things that you should do if you want to be healthy. But people don't do that because they're not motivated to do it. And I, at many periods of my life, haven't worked out because I'm not motivated to do it. And girl, I know I can get that slim, trim body if I please. So you just have to find that motivation within yourself, whether that's like, I want to look better, feel better, get in a routine, get ready for this event, or,
Yes.
I feel like there's a deeper internal motivation that, I mean, if you are doing it because it's something to do, like, great. But like, again, I'm speaking for myself. That's not going to do it for me. Like, then I would stop eating ice cream. Like,
yes. So the motivation is really important. And that's why when you think of things like, oh, what it's doing to my bones, what it's doing to my mind, those are concrete motivations that are things you can definitely run with.
This is true. I guess I will say, I think more about specific like organs that I am helping when it comes to food rather than exercise. I don't ever think about like, oh, like my liver is getting better because of this workout. But like if I'm ever eating like beets, I'm like, oh, like I know it's good. If I see some turmeric on that cauliflower, I'm like antioxidants up. Like I know an apple a day keeps the doctor. Like, so I feel like I think about my body more literally in food. With exercise, it's very much like, what group am I working? Am I doing my legs, arms,
But that's interesting because you spoke about thinking of foods or certain organs in terms of certain foods.
Yeah.
But when I think of exercise and like certain organs of the body, I think of lungs, for example, because exercise really does help strengthen your lungs. Because during exercise, let's say aerobic exercises or just exercises in general, because your body's demand for oxygen increases, so your lungs have to work more and they have to work harder to supply the required amount of oxygen and air. And over time, this amount of oxygen they have to supply when you work out helps them to get strengthened, helps the muscles of your lungs to get strengthened. And so I think that's definitely a big one, the muscles of your lungs, because it just makes them more efficient at delivering oxygen. Do you notice?
No, I do want to be clear. Everything about your body will increase if you do exercise.
Yes.
I agree. As for aerobic exercises, that's like one, like my past is really, and I'll just say more, daring and they're not like gymnastics and diving. Both were not like sustained activities that you do over. Like I've never done a marathon or anything where I've have to. And in long distance running and stuff like that, I have always been like I'm panting. So I have much respect for all the swimmers, runners, bikers, all my bobsledders out there. But shout out Jamaica. No. But getting aerobic exercise and finding that lung capacity is a skill of its own.
Yes.
And coming from the swimming world, not directly, but I've still been there, girl. They are different beasts.
Yes. I definitely agree. So yes, the strengthening of the lungs is a big one, and it helps. You might never realize, but just your breathing gets better. You might not realize, but when you exercise, because of the increased strength of your lungs and because of how they can now supply your body oxygen more efficiently, makes breathing much better, and it allows them to work more efficiently. So that's a big one. And then we touched on a little about muscles, but again, exercise helps with your bone density and strengthening of your muscles. Sometimes we may not realize it, but even the little actions as bending down to pick something.
Oh, girl, I know.
When you exercise, it's just easier to do that.
Yeah, like I jumped off of incredible heights onto basically just like solid floors when I was younger. So I can't imagine what that's done for my bone density now. And I know that's one thing that I'll be sure to keep track of as I get older, because I'm not going to be like you know, like I'm not groaning to touch my toes.
Yes.
Like that's not.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's this analogy of groaning when you touch your toes.
Yeah, no.
And again, when we say exercise, we don't mean like just lifting weights, all of that. No, we mean just physical movements and
calisthenics, sit-ups,
yes, push-ups, anything. You don't even have to have external weights, just your own body weight.
I do push-ups on these desks. Like, if I'm just like sitting around, we can always do something.
Yes, I remember this was a few weeks ago. We were at an event. I was at an event with Neiman, and Neiman was like doing push-ups on the table.
Yeah, and girl, that's my workout. Like, you see how easy that was, and I'm sure that event was so relaxed.
Neiman was like moving his body as we were having a conversation, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, and that's active. Like I totally, girl, I do that in my little club tennis once every Sunday. I'm an athlete. Like
exactly. So just doing even those little things can improve your health significantly. So yes, exercise helps to strengthen your muscles and bones. And we might think, oh, why do I need stronger muscles and bones? But it's really important for you to
think about your muscles and bones.
Yes,
like
for you to be able
that's
to
all
do
you got.
the basic activities of the day. For you to be able to work out, you need your muscles and bones to be strong.
That's literally all you got.
For you to be able to open a can
I'm not going to convince anyone why they need muscles and bones.
So
look around you.
So your muscles and bones are things that get impacted by exercise, positively impacted when done correctly. Correctly, we have to say
We've
that.
We've still seen people do it incorrectly.
Yes, because it can be done incorrectly, but when done correctly, it can impact you in very important ways. So those are some of the ways, but there are even more. Exercise, and this is something that we might not think of, but exercise also helps boost your brain function. Yeah, because I think you even mentioned it with like neuroplasticity. I thought that was interesting that you hinted into that, because exercise promotes the growth of new brain cells.
Yeah, no, and I believe that.
And it strengthens the synapses in your brain. And so because it promotes the growth of new brain cells, it enhances blood flow and oxygen delivery to your brain.
Yeah.
These two things are essential for your brain health, because when you exercise, it's helping to push nutrients and oxygen and blood to your brain, and so exercise does your brain so much good. And when you might be thinking, oh, why do I need to exercise? Exercise does help. And of course, this doesn't work in isolation. You also have to eat healthy. A healthy diet is really important. But brain function is... I know that there's some days where I like lift weight in the gym, and I feel... I can almost feel it in my brain, just when I break a personal record or when I just do something, I feel really good.
It's a sense of accomplishment, which is so real. Like, and that'll, continue with you.
Yes.
But,
so it does really help with, the physical parts of helping your brain. But again, that thing you said about the accomplishment, just the dopamine that comes from getting work done also helps your brain. The feel-good hormones you feel that...
And you get addicted to it.
And so you want... It's a good source of, dopamine. You want to work out, you want to feel good, and then in your working out to feel good, you're helping your body. Like you said, you're helping your heart, you're helping your muscles, you're helping your bones, you're helping your lungs, you're increasing your energy levels.
Only if you want to. I'll just add that to it as a person who has, I've done all of that, and I've also hated my life. No, so it will you really
have to want to.
You have to enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy it, maybe don't do it, and there's really nothing wrong with that.
But then if you don't do it, how do you get these essential benefits? Because I think because these days we live in very sedentary lifestyle. So how do you?
I don't think there should be a sense of urgency to do that right now. I'll say I think if you approach this in a more holistic way and not just
which
looking.
we all should.
And not just looking at the immediate, like, okay, I'll increase my lung capacity and my blood's going to be better. Like, if you can push beyond that and be like, okay, like, why am I here? What do I want to get out of this? Am I enjoying, does this make me feel good about myself?
Yes.
Is this like something that I would do without the gains that I'm getting? Like, is what I'm getting what I like? There's so many, and I say that because I've been, I've had at the point where I have worked out, had the body that I wanted, everything, but like you still feel, internally, not as you'd like to,
Yes.
And I also say that because I've seen how some people can become so frustrated when they don't work out or when they don't exercise. And that like mental degradation is so unhealthy.
It's so unhealthy.
So if you're beating yourself up for not going to the gym, like take a step back. Like there's not like no one's yelling at you. No one like you're on your own race. So it's very, very, very personal.
It is.
So that's why
it's not a competition.
Yeah, it's not a competition and it's not standardized. That's why I'm so hesitant to so quickly endorse like, every day, all this, like, cause like, sure, if you want to do that, sure. But like every day, I mean, people have different levels of intensities and needs. So,
that's very true.
Yeah.
That's actually very true. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going to cover the basic things you can do to create a routine that works for you personally.
Yeah.
And so, yes. And so we on this part of the episode, we spoke about, your background with fitness and with athletics and with athleticism. And then we spoke about the importance of physical fitness, some of the things you might be curious to know if you're thinking, I want to start, but I don't even maybe know the benefits, or maybe you know some of the benefits. We wanted to lay this ground about the importance of physical fitness, and we mentioned the benefits to your cardiovascular health, to your lungs, your muscles, your bones, your mood, your brain function, all which are good things, and then to how it makes you feel internally.
Yeah.
And so you might be thinking, okay, how do I start? Where do I start?
Wow.
What can I do? And I want to have a conversation with Neiman about that, but that will be on the next episode. Ooh. And so we will see you on the next episode. Tune in because that's also going to be a great one. Thank you so much, Neiman, for joining me for this first part of the episode.
再见.
We will see you guys in a little bit. Don't forget to share this episode with anyone you think needs to hear this, anyone you think might find one or two things very useful. And if there are things you heard here that are really speaking to your things that you would love to discuss more with us, please feel free to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. Yes, tune in for the next one and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.